Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
They took part in the COVID vaccine trials to keep the rest of us safe. Well, now we've learned many of these Michiganders are not eligible for Michigan's vaccine sweepstakes. Our Rob Maloney finds out why. Hank?
Some big changes coming to your local Secretary of State branch office, and the changes put in place to help you, the consumer. I'm going to tell you what you need to know coming up new tonight in my Help Me Hank report.
But we begin with a weather alert. Severe storms are moving through Metro Detroit. This is video of the intense hail in Farmington Hills. Right now in Farmington Hills, I-275 is closed because of live wires on the road. And power outages continue to climb. At least 133,000 DTE customers now in the dark. Storms took down trees all around the area. This is video from Birmingham, Maple, between Cranbrook and Southfield. And these photos are from Clinton Township, and you can see massive trees there were uprooted. Yeah. Let's get right over to Ben. He was tracking another round of severe weather heading through Macomb County. Ben?
Yeah, Kim and Devin, it's been a rough several hours here with these storms that got going just after the noon hour. Thank goodness the last of the severe weather is just now starting to clear the east side. You can see a little bit of that severe thunderstorm warning still left. It was scheduled, or it did expire at 6 p.m. The radar holding on to it just a little bit longer. Interesting to note, though, the southern end of St. Clair County, even though you are not under a severe thunderstorm warning, you're getting quite a bit of rain as that storm rolls through there, especially around Clay Township and Harson's Island in the southern end of the county. Rainfall started out a big deal down here in Monroe County, almost 2 inches from some of those early storms, and now multiple rounds. Those are areas of parts of Oakland and Macomb are starting to rival that, with definitely more than an inch of rain fallen already, at least according to the radar estimates. Flood advisory has been posted for those areas north of 8 Mile in the southern end of both of those counties until 8:30 tonight. 1 to 2 inches on the ground. Could see a little bit more as those thunderstorms exit. And a severe thunderstorm watch does remain into effect until 9 p.m. tonight, although we think that these storms are going to calm down a lot. We hope that that severe weather is gone away. We'll talk more about what's to come tonight and the improvements for the weekend. The Local Forecasters app is where you can track all the activity tonight, free in your app store as always, by searching WDIV. Guys?
Okay, Ben. Local 4 has learned not every vaccinated Michigander is eligible for the state's $1 million sweepstakes.
There were questions over whether the people who had participated in the COVID vaccine trials last year could enter. Rod Maloney got the answer. It is not going over well with at least one of the participants, Rod.
And who can blame them, Devin? I mean, when the call went out last summer for volunteers for the vaccine study trial, hundreds of people lined up, got their jab early back last summer, right? August? Well, little did they know there was going to be a sweepstakes. Ray Corbin of Troy took part in the Moderna clinical trial and got his first jab last August 30th. Then last week, the My Shot to Win sweepstakes emerged. Ray registered his wife, Carol, who'd received her shot earlier this year. Thinking he could register, he discovered the December 1st cutoff.
I'm not in this for the money, Rod. You know, this is just about fairness for me.
Now, Monday, the governor's office referred us to Meyer, which is administering the sweepstakes. And today, their response came in. Quote, there is no guarantee that all information from the clinical trials was entered into MICR. That's the Michigan Care Improvement Registry. So it's not possible to validate everyone who participated in the clinical trials, end quote. But here's the rub. Ray's doctor confirmed he's in MICR. So we moved on to the Protect Michigan Commission, the governor's COVID education and communications arm. And this afternoon, Director Carrie Ebersol-Singh answered the ultimate question here. Is Ray or the fellow study participants eligible for the sweepstakes?
No.
Why?
We worked with a set of organizations to make this as inclusive as possible. You know, there are other states that are implementing a sweepstakes or a raffle style lottery that did not include folks that were vaccinated prior to that date and timeline. They offered these incentives.
But at the end of the day, I'm a pretty logical thinker being an engineer, but somehow this logic doesn't quite add up to me.
And in fact, Ray said he's disappointed in this. Now, he did say that part of the reason why he started asking all the questions was because he doesn't necessarily need the money, but he says he thinks that there are other people within the trials that sure could use that money should they win it. And so he wanted to ask the question. We now have the answer. Again, disappointing. Back to you.
Yeah, sure is. Rod, what else is the state saying about the My Shot to win the sweepstakes?
Well, the state is saying, look, the FDA approved for emergency use the vaccine on December 1st. That's why they chose that date. They also say that this is really more of a looking forward thing, where the $50,000 a day for the people getting the jab here right after July 1st. That's the real incentive here, and they want to sort of emphasize that. They want people who haven't been vaccinated to get out and get the jab to get their chance at that $50,000.
Yeah, good. All right, Rod. Secretary of State's office is making changes to clear up this big, long backlog that we've talked about so much during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's an issue our Help Me Hank team has been highlighting, with many of you frustrated as you struggle to book appointments. Hank Winchester walks us through what's new and why it could free up tens of thousands of appointments.
These changes here at your local Secretary of State office, they're going to happen, and they're going to happen quickly. So whether it's a new driver's license you need or to update your vehicle registration, here's what you need to know. The branch offices, they're open, but some of you have been telling me you're having trouble booking appointments. For some, it has been a real challenge. For others who've hopped online, it's been a breeze.
Going online was really easy, making an appointment. Just logged on the day before and I could pick a time slot.
Secretary Benson today revealing new information, extending hours, more employees, all in an effort to serve you. And this begins July 19th.
Our branch offices will be open earlier and they'll be kept open later to serve thousands more residents each week. This will expedite the process of working through the renewal backlog that I mentioned earlier by providing in-person services to an additional 120,000 Michigan residents between now and the end of the fiscal year.
The Secretary also revealing a big goal today, bringing the Secretary of State to you. This would specifically help those that have technology or transportation issues.
We want to launch mobile offices, mini offices that can go directly to senior centers and other places of worship, community gatherings, where people already are, and provide services there.
Extended hours, more kiosks, and more employees in branch offices working to help you get an appointment and to get in and out as quickly as possible. And remember, a lot of the things that you'd come to the branch office for in the past can now be done online. So I'm going to put a direct link to the SOS website right on the Help Me Hank page at clickondetroit.com. We're here in the News Center area. Hank Winchester, Help Me Hank.
Okay, Hank, and another big difference will be how often you need to get your license photo taken. Benson says starting this month, you only have to renew your photo every 12 years instead of 8.
Governor Whitmer today signing a supplemental budget to give schools billions in coronavirus funding. $4.3 billion in federal funding is going to head to the schools for the upcoming year. It closes the per pupil funding gap, giving schools an equal base amount per student.
I'm thrilled that we are joined by so many legislators as I sign today's supplemental. It is a bipartisan effort, and it is really exciting because we need to take the politics out of a lot of things, but especially the education of our kids.
Meanwhile, the state's $17 billion school budget is expected to be signed next week. Lawmakers say it's the biggest investment in the state's education history.
People who still need help cleaning up from the floods now have another tool in Wayne County. You can now call 211. Operators will connect people with volunteer and faith-based organizations that can help with debris cleanup. The hotline operates from 9 to 5 each day. It comes as FEMA is set to survey the damage in Detroit tomorrow. An EPA administrator will also be there to talk about Detroit's water infrastructure. Vice President Kamala Harris has rescheduled her trip to Detroit. She was supposed to visit last week, but it was postponed after the flooding. Well, now Harris will visit the area on Monday. It's not clear where she will be yet, but she is expected to urge people to get vaccinated.
Tropical storm Elsa's landfall has brought heavy rain, flooding, and wind damage to Florida's Gulf Coast. Tens of thousands of people without power and even without water to fuel it. The storm is predicted to pack quite a punch as it now moves up the eastern seaboard. With maximum sustained winds of 65 miles an hour, Tropical storm Elsa made landfall Wednesday morning.
Tropical storms, if they're slow moving, can flood worse than some fast moving ones.
The storm not scaring away some tourists to the Sunshine State.
It's still a vacation.
Elsa reached peak strength as a Category 1 hurricane Tuesday, but weakened before coming ashore. Still, authorities warned the storm can be dangerous.
Tornadoes, of course, are a continued concern, and they will be possible across Northeast Florida.
We could have flooding, surf that people shouldn't be in out at our beaches.
Florida's North Gulf Coast experiencing heavy rain and power outages.
We have more than 10,000 restoration personnel prepared to respond to these outages as soon as it's safe to do so.
Now, as Elsa moves inland, more wind damage and flooding remain possible.
We don't want people to get overconfident, be out in their cars and potentially driving into flooding. You could have down power lines with wind. There's a whole lot of possibilities that could happen in these storms.
Elsa impacting northern Florida, parts of Georgia, and the Carolinas. It's expected to continue along the mid-Atlantic coast and maybe even re-strengthen into a tropical storm in the Northeast by Friday morning.
Our thoughts and prayers are with those that are currently experiencing the storm right now.
Elsa's potential storm surge between 3 and 5 feet high being described as life-threatening. Some areas could see up to 9 inches of rain. You'll get a look at the latest conditions right now in Florida coming up at 6:30. NBC Nightly News coming up right here on Local 4. It was one of the most anticipated cars to hit the road here in Detroit in quite a while.
And now Ford's fully electric Mustang is getting some big recognition on the national stage. Frank.
It's a summer surge of a virus that's not normally seen much this time of year. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Coming up, why another virus is now sending some kids to the hospital and the symptoms parents need to watch out for.
The last of our severe thunderstorm warnings have expired, so as the strong storm threat starts to calm down, how much more rain are we in for later tonight? We'll track that for you next on Local 4 News at 6.